Coach, after how well Khalil had played at Colorado, what was most...
Excuse me, I can't hear you.
After how well Khalil had played at Colorado, what was the most concerning about his step back in this Washington game?
I mean, what do you mean by concerning? I mean, he didn't play very well. So, it's as good as he played the week before. Didn't play very well this week, and so I mean, the question was what? How concerning is his step back? It's concerning about a lot of things, right? So, it's what it is, and it was obvious, and he didn't feel very good about it himself.
You said after the game that you did not know whether or not he was injured or not, or at full strength. Should you know as the head coach whether your quarterback has full functionality?
Yeah, well, that's how I answered the question, right? So I probably, that was probably a bad answer. So, yeah, we are in contact with our medical department and with our trainers all the time. And, but internally, as a person, individually, you've got to know yourself if you're healthy and if you're not. So, this time of the year, halfway through the season, 6 games, midpoint, for us, and I talked about this last week. You've got 4 weeks of camp. We've had 2 bye weeks. It's not midpoint of the season. We're 11 weeks into this thing, right? So there's really no one in that locker room right now who's playing at the level that they need to be playing that is 100% healthy.
What led to the decision to put Grant in late in the game?
It was time for him to play.
Were you worried about his red shirt?
No, I'm not worried about Grant's red shirt. I mean, Grant needs to play. So there was never been a plan for Grant to be be redshirted this whole year. He's the backup quarterback. And so if something happens, he needs to be able to play. So there has never been a plan for him to redshirt since he really hit campus.
Given Khalil's progress overall, how well he played at Colorado, specifically some of the game management issues that came up the last game, is that a conversation that you've had with him?
Yes.
About some
Yeah,
of that stuff?
the conversation has been had. I mean, you brought it up a couple, 3 weeks ago, right? About running out of bounds, not throwing the ball away. About just taking off and doing some things, and instead of getting us back to 2nd and 10, and it's like anything else. We talk to our players all the time, not just the quarterback, but everybody. If something bad is happening, let's not make it disastrous, right? And so that decision-making time is important for running backs. It's important for returners. It's important for everybody who touches the ball, and defenders. I mean, just like post whistle penalties, right? So, that's frustrating, but those conversations have been had and are being had during the game.
You're going to face some athletic defenses over the next couple of weeks. What adjustments do you guys need to make in handling the blitz?
Yeah, we're going to have. I mean, we've seen it. We handled it one way at Colorado. We didn't handle it very well last Saturday night, right? So, and I sat here 3 weeks ago and told you that it was going to happen, and we didn't handle it very well. So we're going to have to go back and keep working at it and make those adjustments. But yeah, we're going to see it until that happens. That being said, I don't know that anybody scored more than 27 points on Washington this year, right? Have they? So it's a different game. And where you cannot play an opponent at that caliber and turn the ball over as many times as we did and have a block punt. It just can't happen. And so the turnover situation in that game really dictated a lot of different things because our defense played their hearts out for the first half. And you look back at it and say, well, how long can you tread water? We have to be able to hang on to the ball. We have to be able to convert third downs. And, in the red zone, we have to be able to score touchdowns. You turn the ball over that many times, you have a block punt, and those kind of things. The margin for error for us is not that wide. So those are things that, in the big picture, right, in the score, and you give Washington credit, but in the big picture, those are things we can control. We have controlled this year, and for us to be the team that we want to be in games like that, we have to get back to controlling those types of things.
You guys used a design quarterback run against Texas Tech to kind of get them to back off. The blitzing, was that something that was under consideration?
Yeah,
Last game?
you bet. We've done it both ways, right? So we got them out of it, and then we threw for 400 the week ago, right, against man-to-man coverage. So made big plays. So there's a number of ways to do that. There's not just one way. We've got to be able to execute both phases, particularly against some of these larger defensive fronts, right? So we've seen some big guys. Like I said, linebackers are running through some blitzes, but you go back and look at it. The patience. I think J.J. Taylor coming back really helped. Our running backs, I think, did a nice job. Our O-line struggled a little bit, but, in the end, if you look at yards per carry, it's kind of deceiving, right, for everybody. But as I said Saturday night, it was more of a nothing 10 yards, nothing 12 yards, and instead of what we're used to doing is, 4, 5, 6 yards at a time. And that patience, it looks good on paper, when guys are averaging 5 yards a carry or 6 yards, but as a play caller and it's second and 10, right? Or it's first and 10, right? So it just becomes a little bit different, from a rhythm standpoint for our offense, and we've got to adjust that. But I'm glad JJ's back. I think he played as well as anybody, and you can see it. I mean, he's a dynamic guy. He's got burst. He's got toughness. Really to sit out for basically a month and come back and hang on to the ball the way he did and run as physical as he did and find the seams that he did. I think that's positive for this football team moving forward.
Is it difficult for you to be patient
And
as this thing grows?
no, it's not. I thought you were talking about the running game. That was what I was talking about. No, you have to be. I mean, but you know what? It's. I don't know. It's just not my nature. I think we want to win now, right? And fans want to win now, and so it's our obligation to put the best product on the field that we can now. And so the two ways to get better. In my opinion, what we've been talking about is recruiting and player development, right? So, and raise our talent level and to increase our depth. We've increased our depth, which I think has reaped some dividends early this year and through this year, particularly on the defensive line. We've got to continue to increase the profile of our football team. Last year it's I don't know who it was. One of the commentators, statistically, last year we were one of the smallest teams in Power 5, right? So, we're continuing to recruit. We're continuing to try to change the profile of our team with height and size and speed, and I think that's what everybody's doing. But we also, to your question, everybody wants it right now, including me, and that's why we're recruiting like crazy. But we're also trying to coach these guys, and I think Brian Johnson, as I said, has really done a nice job in the weight room and in player development.
Coach, there's been a lot of complaining here in Arizona about the late start times of these games, but a lot of those late start times have been on games that are be able to see nationally, ESPN, FS1. What value do you put on that your program is on a network that people in New York and Miami and Atlanta can see, whether it's 11 o'clock at night or not?
Well, it's kind of funny, at three places I've been a head coach, no fan base has been happy about any start time, right? It can't make anybody happy. It's funny, and I said, even at Houston, we were playing on, Tuesday or Thursday night, right? For exposure, the fans weren't happy about that. In the SEC, the primetime game is at 2:30 in the afternoon. I don't know if you've been in Texas at 2:30 in the afternoon, or in the swamp, or in Georgia. It's brutal. It's not, maybe not 107 degrees, but it's 90-some% humidity and close. So, you know what? TV dictates start times, and as a program, as a coach, you understand that. And I know it's difficult on the fans. And, it's like a lot of people say, well, it's easier to stay at home and watch it on television. And we know that. But, our fans, by the way, were great Saturday night. And, what we have to do, and I keep saying this, we have to put the product on the field that our people appreciate. And we're working hard at that. But, as far as we're concerned, right, as a program, you have really, you can't control when those games are going to be played, and it can be frustrating for fans. But across the country, depends on where you are. But fans, I think, understand that, and that's just part of it right now.
What's your favorite time of the day to play, home or road?
As soon as we can. Nobody likes sitting in a hotel all day and half the night, right? So that's just part of it, And I can remember I used to complain, in the Big Ten, at 11 o'clock in the morning, we're out the door at 9 o'clock in the morning, headed to the stadium, right? So it's like, this is crazy. But, you're back at home and watching everybody else by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, be careful what you wish for, right? It's just different.
Can you explain the thought process after Tilford scored of not going for two, but then attempting an onside kick?
Yeah. By number, it maybe should have gone for two. Felt better about the onside kick. There's some things that we have done, play-wise, with that maybe Grant was not prepared for. I'll just put it that way, to going for two, because he was in the game, and so maybe should have done that, but felt good about the onside kick. I mean, we didn't get the hop that we needed. It was a pretty good kick, but it wasn't what he was used to, and I had more confidence in Lucas, to try to get the ball back there, and then we give him a short field, and they score again. So. We would have had to score. We would have had to score, and I know that would have maybe made it a different possession situation. But looking back at it, maybe should have gone for two.
Look at Jacob Eason's performance in the second half and what he did. Obviously there were a lot of instances where you had his guys covered up and he just fit the ball. How much of that he took it?
Well, he fit it, and but they give his receivers credit too. They made plays, right? So. Yeah, he's always been a big, strong arm guy. He's always been a good quarterback. But like I said Saturday night after the game, everybody asked what's the difference. They had 3 or 4 big chunk yardage plays that and they were good throws, but they were also good plays. The guys were covered, dropped them in there. We get the post. We needed tighter coverage, but. He was able to throw the ball and create some chunk yardage plays and some explosive plays that they weren't able to that was the big difference in the first half and the second half. And, we actually, with field position and everything else in the second half, put ourselves in a better position, giving them long fields, but they made plays. the first half, but with the turnovers, the punt block, our defense really, I mean, they got the ball on our side of the 50, 3-4 times, and we held them to field goals and made them work for everything. They made chunk yardage plays in the second half to change the game.
You had said last week that you didn't think Jason played very well at Colorado. How did you assess
What's that?
You had said last week that you didn't think Jason played very well at Colorado. How did you assess his play this week?
Well, it's week to week, and I just said, one game is one thing, and matchups are important, right? So, this is big guys. These guys are playing. We're switching coverages. We're moving guys around. Our corners are playing as hard as they can play, and they've made plays. They made, those are moment of truth plays. All in all, the big plays that happen, we have guys right there, and there's weeks where we've gotten the ball out, we've made some plays, and Saturday night we didn't.
What are your thoughts on USC?
That's a pretty general question. I mean, that's a big.
What have you seen so far that is most concerning about them?
Yeah, I mean, it's USC, right? So, they're averaging 430 a game, and they've gone through 3 quarterbacks, right? So, they've got athletic offensive line as usual. The 3 receivers are extremely talented, which makes it easy on the quarterback. Big guys that can run. They're rotating the young guy at running back. I don't know what his status is going to be, but he's been extremely physical. Been really a good player. Last year, I thought the strength of their team was their young defensive line, and they're still the strength because now they're sophomores instead of freshmen. They're sophomores and juniors, so they're big, athletic up front. They've got good players. They've got good scheme. They've been, what have they played, 3 or 4 top 25 teams, right? So, they've been in big games. So they've been tested. They've won some. They've lost some. They're playing hard, and they've got good players who have been in real ball games, not just last year, but particularly this year.
You have a lot of players from the LA area. Is there an extra any concern about, with having friends and family there, that it could take off the focus for the game?
No, I mean that's what it is, right? So, we got people everywhere, and our family has been. We waited a long time after the Colorado game because most of their family was there, right? Of players, so they get the schedule, they know what's going on. I don't see that as an issue. I think if anything, some guys are going back home. It might be a plus for us.
What were your recruiting reports on Keaton Slovis and how he might project at the next level?
What's that?
What were your recruiting reports on Keaton Slovis, the quarterback for USC, and how he might project at the next level?
Yeah, I don't know. It's everybody's got, and the funny part is, when people ask that question about, about projections and at any position, you got 32 teams that do their own, right? Doesn't really matter what I think. Some guys have a certain standard of height. It's just like Drew Brees, right? So, certain people aren't going to take Drew Brees because he was 5'11" and 7/8", just because of this what they do, and other people like it. Same thing with Pat Mahomes, right? So, whatever. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, a guy can play, he can't play, and at this level, you see quarterbacks of shoot. I watched a guy move. Kentucky's guy just was playing wide receiver last week, right? So when you start a game at 8 o'clock, you're able to do some other things, right? You watch. So this guy's playing wide receiver, who we kind of recruited the last place, and he's playing quarterback in a game. So you never know.
You guys had to kind of shuffle the offensive line because of injuries. How did that work out, and how do you see that group moving forward?
We tried to get our best 5 because Peyton had played a lot. He's splitting time with Edgar, right? And with Conjal being out, do keep that rotation going at tackle? Or do you, because this guy has played a lot and he's a big, strong guy, do you move him in there and instead of a guy who hasn't played a lot? Does that make sense? So, we made a decision, hey, listen, we're not going to keep that rotation. We're going to put a guy in who's played in the last 5 games a lot and with experience. And we'll see. It was difficult for him in there. He's got a lot of talent. But, there's some positives and negatives, and then, or do you play really your 7th best lineman in there and keep that rotation going? So that's a discussion that we had this morning and yesterday. So, is it your 5 best available, or is it the rotation of those 2 with your 7th best player out there at that position? And, and matchups matter. I'll just put it that way.
One more question for Coach?
Colin Schooler hasn't put up the numbers this year that maybe we're used to seeing. What are you seeing out of him?
I think that's good. I think that's a good thing. I mean, in a crazy way. I'm sorry. That doesn't sound very smart, but by that meaning that we're getting production from other people instead of him making 17 tackles a game and all over the field. I think what has happened is that our front has made more plays, and particularly the guys inside and Mason and Finn Conley have showed up. I think it also speaks to Anthony Pandy's progress and Tony Field's progress, right? So I don't mean that in a negative way. I think, he's still making a lot of plays. I mean, he's still in the top 10 in this league in tackles, right? So it's just maybe, the fact that we've got other people making plays has really helped our defense. And I think that was evident really in the first quarter. I mean, in the first half and really the last few games, because of some of the things we're doing on defense that our front's making more plays. And he's got 2 other linebackers, not just Fields, but Pandy, I think, has really grown into a playmaker, particularly in the last 3-4 weeks.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you.